When you boil it all down, life really has one fundamental job: to keep its story going. And the way it pulls that off? Reproduction. It's this incredible strategy for survival, not for the one, but for the many. All right, let's dive into how life has mastered this amazing act of continuity.
Okay, so let's just start with the most basic question imaginable. Why even bother? I mean, think about it. Reproduction isn't like eating or breathing. An individual organism doesn't actually need to do it to stay alive. In fact, it costs a ton of energy. So, what's the big idea?
And here's the big reveal. It has absolutely nothing to do with keeping the individual alive. The only reason we even see any species out there, I don't care if it's ants or elephants or us, is because its members have been successfully making more of themselves for a very, very long time. It's all about keeping the team in the game.
To really understand how that works, we've got to go a level deeper. We need to look at the instruction manual, the biological blueprint that every single living thing carries with it. So let's talk about that blueprint, and more importantly, how it gets copied.
And that blueprint, well, we call it DNA. It's the master code for life, tucked away inside our cells, and it holds all the instructions for building, well, everything. You, me, a redwood tree, a mushroom, all of it. It's the recipe that tells our cells what proteins to make, and those proteins go on to build the entire body.
So here's the bottom line. If you strip away all the complicated stuff, reproduction is fundamentally about just one thing: making a copy of that DNA. Every single reproductive strategy out there, no matter how simple or complex, it all comes back to this one vital event. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. You might think the goal is to make a perfect, flawless photocopy every single time. But is that what actually happens? Is every copy an exact duplicate? The answer to that question, well, it's basically the secret engine that powers all life on Earth.
The truth is, pretty much no process in biology is ever 100% perfect, and that includes copying DNA. Little glitches, tiny errors, what we call variations, they always sneak in. Now look, if the world never ever changed, a perfect copy would be fine. But our world is always changing. And those so-called imperfect copies, they're not mistakes. They're the raw material for evolution. They give a species options when things get tough.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Just picture a bunch of bacteria in a pond. Now what if the temperature suddenly shoots up? Most of them might not make it. But just by pure chance, a few of them might have a tiny variation that makes them a little more heat resistant. And guess what? They're the ones that survive. They reproduce, and boom, the species lives on. Variation is the ultimate insurance policy for a species.
Okay, so we've established two big things. Life has to copy its DNA, and a little variation is actually a very good thing. So let's look at the two major strategies life came up with to get this done. We'll start with the first and the simplest, going it alone. This is the solo act, also known as asexual reproduction.
Asexual reproduction is pretty much what it sounds like. You only need one parent. A whole new generation pops into existence from just a single individual. And the offspring are basically genetic copies, clones, really, of that parent, except for those tiny random variations we keep talking about.
The most straightforward way to pull this off is called fission. You can see it here with the amoeba. It's super simple. It just grows a bit, copies its DNA, and then poof, it splits right down the middle. And just like that, one becomes two. It's fast, it's efficient, and it works like a charm. Then you've got a slightly different approach called budding. An organism like this hydra literally just grows a tiny mini-me right off the side of its own body. Once that little bud is mature enough, it just pops off and starts its own independent life. Pretty neat, huh?
And then there's a strategy that feels like it's straight out of a superhero movie: regeneration. Some animals, like this planaria flatworm, are absolute masters at this. Seriously, if you cut one into pieces, each piece can regrow into a brand new, complete individual. It's just an incredible survival mechanism. So, asexual reproduction, the solo act, is fast and simple. But it's a bit slow when it comes to creating that all-important variation. So, evolution cooked up a radical upgrade, a much more complex, much more dynamic strategy, the power of two, or sexual reproduction.
Which kind of makes you wonder, right? If going solo is so easy and efficient, why on earth would life invent a system that's so much more complicated? You have to find a partner, there's all this extra stuff involved. What's the big payoff?
And the answer, once again, comes back to variation.
See, asexual reproduction is just waiting around for slow, random copying errors. But sexual reproduction, whoa, it's like putting the genetic lottery on hyperdrive. You're taking the successful variations from two different individuals and shuffling them together. This creates new combinations at a mind-boggling speed. It's like putting a turbocharger on the engine of evolution.
Okay, so brilliant idea. But wait, there's a catch, a big one. If you're just going to combine two full DNA blueprints from two parents, you run into a major math problem. And it's a problem that life absolutely had to solve.
I mean, just look at it this way. You take all the DNA from parent A, and you add all the DNA from parent B, and suddenly the offspring has double the amount of DNA it's supposed to have. If you keep doing that for a few generations, the cells would literally be bursting at the seams with genetic material. It just can't work.
Life's solution to this is just so elegant. It's brilliant. Instead of mashing two whole cells together, organisms evolved to produce special half cells. Cells that carry only half the normal amount of DNA. We call these gametes. So when a half cell from one parent combines with a half cell from the other, the new individual gets a full, correct set of DNA. Problem solved.
And this led to another incredible specialization. One type of gamete, what we call the male gamete, or sperm, became small and mobile. It's basically a little DNA delivery vehicle designed for travel. The other, the female gamete, or egg, became large and stationary. And it's packed with all the food and supplies needed to nourish a new organism in its earliest moments.
This fundamental split, the tiny mobile sperm and the big, resource-rich egg, sets the stage for the reproductive story of most complex life on Earth, including our own. So let's bring it all home and see how these principles come together in human reproduction.
For us humans, this all really kicks off at puberty. That's when our bodies get the signal to start making those specialized gametes. In males, the testes start churning out sperm, and females, the ovaries begin releasing eggs. And the goal of the whole operation is for one of those mobile sperm cells to meet and fuse with an egg. That's fertilization. That single brand new cell, now with a full set of DNA, then travels to the uterus, implants itself, and begins the incredible journey of developing into an embryo.
Now, developing inside another organism for 9 months takes some serious support, and for that, a truly remarkable temporary organ forms, the placenta. It's this intricate disc of tissue that connects the mother's blood supply to the embryos, allowing for the seamless transfer of oxygen and nutrients while also getting rid of waste. It is the ultimate biological life support system, custom-built for one purpose.
So we've journeyed from a single cell just splitting into two, all the way to the intricate dance of sexual reproduction that creates a new human being. It's pretty clear that reproduction is life's engine, driving both continuity and incredible change. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. What new reproductive strategies might evolution come up with next?